Hey everybody, welcome to episode 67 of The Complete Game. I'm your host, Curt Schilling. He is your co-host, Garrick Schilling. What's going on, G?
Not much. I think October baseball came early.
Yeah, and real quick, we were just watching highlights of the Tiger Indian game. Tariq Skubal, David Fry,
Guardian. I'll bleep it later. I'll bleep
Guardians.
it
I'm
later.
sorry. All right, all right. Um, David Fry squared around to safety squeeze and got hit by a Tariq Skubal fastball, 99 in the face. And I was like, well, I'm looking in the box score, like, no, he didn't get hit. There's no hit by pitch. Well, it must have ticked off his bat, but I mean, it's definitely a potential situation where he could have died. And you can see Scooble's reaction, everybody's reaction, and I just want to comment real quick, and it's nobody's fault, right? I mean, in the sense that he obviously wasn't throwing at him. He was trying to, when somebody does that, that's where you throw the ball in to try and make sure they don't get the bunt down. But it's also something that you learn to do as a pitcher in the National League. When you're learning to bunt in the minor leagues, you learn to that can't happen. That shouldn't ever happen. It's the same thing with guys getting hit with comebackers now. Because they lack the fundamental practice of it. And but again, this was he's okay. It seems like I can't imagine he's not going to have a concussion. But in fan news, they are up 5-2. Cleveland is up 5-2 in the bottom of the eighth right now. They're hitting, and if they
Yeah,
win
that
that game, they will be tied with the Detroit Tigers for first place. And if I'm not mistaken, Garrig, we were talking about this. The Cleveland Guardians were 15 and a half games behind the Detroit Tigers as late as sometime in August.
Yep. The Detroit Tigers have been in first place in the AL Central for 182 days as of today, basically since the start of the season. And that inning that David Fry took the one off the noggin, that's also the inning they chased Tariq Skubal to get that 3-2 lead and now 5-2 lead late in the game. So it looks like they'll be tied for the AL Central tonight if everything holds. They need 4 more outs. 3 more outs, actually.
Well, it's been a crazy year, so I don't want to predict anything. Red Sox are up on the Blue Jays as they try and hang on. Phillies are up 3-2 on the Marlins. Kyle Schwarber went deep in the bottom of the first, or bottom of the first, hitting second for his 54th. White Sox are beating the Yankees 2-1 in the White Sox playoffs. And this is the time. This
Yeah, I
is
was
the
gonna say
time.
if those current scores hold, the Yankees lose, the Red Sox win in the over the Blue Jays, that AL East picture becomes as tight as the AL Central looks right now.
Yeah, the Red Sox would be 4 out. The Yankees would stay 2 out. Um, gosh,
And
dang.
they have two
I
in like 2 more games against the Blue Jays right now.
Yep.
Also in that game, they were talking about an interesting debate I wanted to ask you about in terms of comeback player of the year. So they were talking about George Springer and a lot of surrounding talk about him being comeback player of the year, which I think is a fair player to have.
Yep.
But
Yep.
my vote personally, I think you two would be for Jake deGrom. And that's what they were saying on the broadcast, that the argument should be for comeback player of the year is that the category should be for guys that are returning from injury. And I didn't really necessarily agree with that though.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with comeback player of the year being the guy who comes back from a horrible season the year before. Springer's
Yeah.
hitting 305 with 30 bombs, 380, 395 on base percentage,
I
553
mean,
slow,
Jacob
100
deGrom,
runs.
obviously, again, I think he'd get my vote as of right now, but it's a perfectly fair argument to say that the Toronto Blue Jays are not those 2 games up on the Yankees if they don't have George Springer having
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a comeback year.
Yeah. DeGrom 12 and 8 with what's his 3.01.
I mean,
Uh
the reason they were a part of the
yeah.
AL wild card chase at the end, at least a big
Yeah.
significant part of it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, dang. I Springer's stuff looks more impressive to me. Just at first glance. I hate to say it like that, um but
But
DeGrom
that
coming
vote
back is
aside, my question was
right.
to you, and I think you kind of answered it already, but that they were saying that they think it should be for only an injured player. Do you think those should be separate awards, or do you think comeback player of the year covers
No,
it?
I'm comeback player of the year. I'm okay because then
Yeah,
you
that's what I
start to
think
get
too.
yeah. No, I think it's just the guy who has the best year after sucking last year.
Yes, I mean, there's a bunch of good examples of, I'm sure if we look them up right now, guys, that it wasn't just like a comeback year, but it was like the reason that I can't think of one off the top of my head, but someone took a shot on a guy who people said was on the back nine of his career, and he has one of those years, and it ends up putting them from a playoff like wild card team to
Well, let's give an example.
home
So
games all
Aaron
the way through.
Nola would be a candidate for next year comeback player of the year.
Who?
Aaron Nola
Yeah,
next year,
yeah,
right? That kind of a season where what the hell just happened? You could make an argument for Verlander too.
yeah. That's what I mean, though. Like if
Yeah,
Verlander went 15-5 next year with a sub 3 ERA, I think that'd be a great conversation for. But
right,
yeah,
right. So yeah, so
do you see the Mets right now too? I couldn't help myself after like that's where I started. I've been watching the Mets, Cubs, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and then the Tigers Guardians game, obviously. But the Mets and Cubs game got depressing real fast, and just now as I looked over, they tied it. So
they tied at 6. Oh my gosh.
yeah, so it's just
Yeah, that was Peterson started. Yeah, 5. He went an inning and a third.
so I can't. They had, and that was one of the other games that started off with a leadoff home run. I think
Lindor, yeah.
Lindor. But imagine that if you're a Mets fan right now, what if they lost like 11 of 13 or something ridiculous? And this is to stay in a wild card spot to win tonight. I think the
They
Reds are
just,
losing still too. Yeah,
yeah, they just
Reds are
dropped
down to
the
their
Mets
final
just
3 outs to stay in that wild card spot. But the Cubs have no reason to win this game. Just come out and put up a 5 spot on them in the first 2 innings.
right. Mets dropped a 5 spot in the 5th. Boston just moved up 4-1.
Yeah, that literally just happened as we're talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots
What
going
else you
on.
got? Anything else?
No, not really. I did want to mention that so apparently next year robot umps will be implemented in the big leagues for challenges.
Yep,
Um
like at the All-Star game.
yeah, yeah. Um
We knew that was coming, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But
Just more of a
here's my problem. The ABS zone will be a two-dimensional plane in the middle of the plate. The strike zone's at the front of the plate. That like okay, that's not the real strike zone. And then the zone's top will be 53.5% of the player's height, and bottom will be 27%. So basically, if you're a tall guy, well, I'm trying to figure out how that's gonna. Okay, so if you're a tall guy with short legs, like the guys that are built differently are going to have weird strike zones. Yeah, I don't know. My biggest problem is that over 50% of the challenges overturned umpires' calls. If Major League Baseball umpires are wrong 50% of the time, that's a problem. That's a
it's
big problem.
very bad in a lot if you follow any of these umpire accounts that I follow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just want to mention that. I think that's interesting. And then yeah, the only injury news is that the M scratched Wu from his start tonight. I'm not, but they didn't say anything about the disabled list. But we'll see. So that I mean that's
well,
certainly
I guess in a little bit more injury news, Anthony Santander for the
yeah,
Blue
yeah,
Jays was activated, so that's
yeah,
another bat added to that lineup that has been absent even when he was on the team last year. He was not playing 100%, so
yeah.
it's a nice little addition, like we were talking about
Yep,
with Brandon Woodruff before he got hurt. Like not a deadline acquisition, but just a
right.
free player at this
But
time of years.
the same exact impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You
all right, what
wanna
do we got?
you wanna guess teammate?
Yes, teammate.
Have
You
earlier
haven't
they
tried
had
it on
a
mom yet, right? Okay.
nope. Earlier I had when you were here actually, you came and saw your grandson today. I had a thing pop up that there was a boost for any MLB game with all the MLB action today, and I put it on the Mets. And then when it was 6-1, I had $5 on even, and I went and put it on the Mets at plus 1,000. So it's $5 to win 55 bucks right now. It's tied. I could cash out
Nice.
for $23. Just wanted to update that I'm keeping not just keeping tabs, but I'm also trying to put my emotional well-being at stake with you Mets fans. So I'm riding with you less or more for the better or worse. All right, yeah, we got a former teammate of my dad's here with 5 clues ranging from very hard to very easy. All right, first clue. I played 16 years for 11 different teams, 8 National League and 3 American League.
Pass.
I was a utility player that even ended up pitching a couple of innings toward the end of my career.
Dave McCarty?
Nope. I was never an all-star despite a career .265 average with over 2,000 hits and 253 home runs to my name. Yeah, this was a weird baseball reference to comb over. I will say I did not, sort of a hint, I did not know a ton about this guy.
Got to be somebody I know know well, because the 2,000 hit thing is not a small thing, especially for a guy that isn't an everyday player.
250 bombs.
Yeah. Not going to be an Astro or Oriole. 11 teams. That's the one that really gets me. 11
Yeah,
teams.
I was shocked to count that up too. I had to count it up twice to make sure I was right. 8 National League, 3 American League.
Next.
My longest stint with any team was the Cardinals from 89 to 95, where I hit .260 off of you in 23 at-bats.
Milt Thompson.
My best season in terms of WAR coincided with my one trip to the Fall Classic in 2000 as a member of the New York Mets.
Not Mark Whitten.
Leave, I've heard you say this guy's name correct before, so I'm going to try and get it right.
No, last clue.
That was your last clue.
Was it?
Yep, that was 5 clues. Do you throw in the towel or you got to guess?
Hold on.
Do you want me to reread anything or?
Yeah, read them again. Go through them again. Read them again for me.
I played 16 years for 11 different MLB teams, 8 NL and 3 AL. I was a utility player that ended up pitching a couple of innings towards the end of my career. I was never an all-star, despite a .265 career average with 2,000 plus hits and 253 home runs to my name. My longest stint with any team was the St. Louis Cardinals from 1989 to 1995, where I hit .260 off you in 23 at-bats. And then the last clue. My best season in terms of WAR coincided with my one trip to the Fall Classic in 2000 as a member of the New York Mets.
Todd Zeile.
Todd Zeile.
Wow.
Tricky one. Only a teammate
11 teams. That's what really threw me off.
Like I said, I counted it twice to make sure I was right.
Todd Zeile.
Was he good? I mean, he had to be to stick around that long to have numbers like that.
Yeah. He was a number 1 pick out of UCLA. It was funny because John Vukovich was a real old school coach. Old school coach. And, he had Dave Hollins, the meanest, angriest son of a bitch to ever play, old school. And Todd Zeile was the guy who showered at 7 o'clock every night for a 7:35 game and came out of the shower perfectly manicured. And it used to drive Vuk fucking crazy when he'd just be walking through the clubhouse 15 minutes before the game with his towel on. Good player, though. I mean, and one of the reasons I almost got killed in my first year of professional baseball, I was pitching in Erie, Pennsylvania, and literally on the high school. It was like the Bull Durham field, but it was a high school field, and there were people playing in the tennis courts beyond the left field. My manager, this is the year Todd got drafted, I think. My manager, Bill Emencelli, who's about this tall, says, "Hey, listen, whatever you do, I don't want you throwing this guy a curveball tonight." I'm like, "Okay." Second at bat, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm totally tricking this guy." I throw a curveball, and as I'm letting it go, I can almost hear from the dugout, "No!" He hits it into the tennis court for a home run. I come off the field. Lemoncelli grabs me by the jersey and throws me up against the back of the dugout. And again, he's 5'8". You MF cocksucker, man. That just, like, I was literally scared that he was gonna pummel me. That was my
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So
that's a great story to end on.
All right. We will see you guys on Friday, right?
Yep, and we'll know more about how this race is going to shape up. We're going to get some playoff brackets going, some predictions.
Yep.
So
All right, buddy.
exciting
Love you. Have
times.
a good week. Hit like, subscribe, guys. Spread the
Yep.
word. Thank you.
Almost to 1,000.
All right, bub.
All right, we'll see you on Friday.